Slowly, painfully, Jacen lowered himself to sit with his legs over the edge, his feet dangling free a kilometer above the rugged jungle canopy. "I guess I was pretty messed up. Pretty battered," he said, laying one hand along the bandages that bound his sprung ribs in place. "You patched me up. You and those tears of yours." "Yes." He nodded. Not thanks, just acknowledgement. "I didn't expect to live through it." "Of course not. How could you, and achieve what you did?" She said kindly. "You found the power that arises of acting without hope, and also without fear. I am very proud of you." Jacen met her eyes. He could see his own reflection, dark and distorted, in their glossy black surface. "Proud? All the people up there who died because of me, all the people down here who live because of you," she countered, interrupting. She briefly told him how the Shapers had been forced to give the Duryam immediate control of the siege ship, and how it had begun the break-up into individual siege ships so quickly that there had been no time to round up the rampaging slaves. The Duryam itself had used their slave seeds to herd them to safety, fulfilling its side of the bargain it had made with Jacen. Yes, hundreds died in the battle, but thousands of slaves were able to ride the ship's seeds to the surface, slaves who were to have been executed at the climax of the Tizo Pil Yunchalat. You were magnificent, Jacen Solo, a true hero. I don't feel much like a hero, no? Her crest splayed orange. How does a hero feel? Jacen looked away, shaking his head silently. She settled in beside him, swinging her legs over the void below them, kicking her heels aimlessly like a little girl in a chair too high for her. After a moment, Jacen sighed and shook his head again and shrugged. I guess heroes feel like they've accomplished something. And you haven't. Several thousand slaves might disagree. You don't understand. In his mind he saw again the body on the Hive Island's beach, the one who might have been a slave, who might have been a warrior, who had bled out his life next to the corpse of a Shaper who'd had no clue in combat, a Shaper who'd only thought to put his own body between the infant Duryams and the killing machine Jacen had become. In the nursery. Once I started killing, he said softly, I didn't want to stop. That must be... I can only think that's how the dark side must feel. I didn't ever want to stop, but you did, only because you stopped me. Who's stopping you now? He stared at her. She turned her quadrifid palm upward, as though offering him a sweet. You want to kill? There is nothing around you but life, Jacen Solo. Take it as you please, even mine. My species has a particularly vulnerable neck. Merely take my head in your hands, and with one quick twist, thus. She jerked her head up and back, as though an invisible fist had punched her in the mouth. You can satisfy this dark desire. I don't want to kill you, Vergere. He hunched into himself, resting his elbows on his thighs, as though huddled against a chill. I don't want to kill anybody. Just the opposite. I'm grateful. You saved me. I was out of control. You were not, she said sharply. Don't make excuses. What? Out of control is just a code for I don't want to admit I'm the kind of person who would do such things. It's a lie. He offered her half a smile. Everything I tell you is a lie. She accepted his mockery with an expressionless nod. But everything you tell yourself should be the truth, or as close to it as you can come. You did what you did because you are who you are. Self-control, or its lack, had nothing to do with it. Self-control has everything to do with it. That's what being a Jedi is. You, she said, are not a Jedi. He looked away, remembering what she had done to him, kindled a spark within his chest that grew into a scorching flame around his heart. His fingers dug into the lush moss that carpeted the ledge, and he made fists, tearing up a double handful, and a large part of him wanted that moss to be her neck. But years of Jedi training had armored him against rage. When he opened his fists and let those shreds fall into the wind, he let his anger fall with them. Being a Jedi isn't just about using the Force. His voice was stronger now. He was on sure ground. It's a commitment to a certain way of doing things, a certain way of looking at things. It's about valuing Life, not destroying it. So is gardening. He hung his head, numb with memory. But I wasn't trying to save anybody. Sure, it started out that way. That's what I planned for. But by the time you caught up with me on the Hive Island, saving lives was the farthest thing from my mind. All I wanted was a club big enough to smack the Yuuzhan Vong all the way out of the galaxy. All I wanted was to hurt them. She blinked. And this is wrong. It is for me. That's the dark side. It's the definition of the dark side. That's what you saved me from. I saved your life, Jacen Solo. That's all. Your ethics are your own affair. Jacen just shook his head. His family history was itself the ultimate argument, that the dark side is everybody's affair, but he wasn't about to get into that. You don't understand. Perhaps I don't, she agreed cheerfully. You seem to be telling me what you do is irrelevant. All that matters is why you do it. That's not it at all, no? Then tell me, Jacen Solo, if you had pursued the noble goal of saving those thousands of slaves in the manner of a true Jedi, what would you have done differently? Anything? Or would you only feel differently about what you have done? Jacen frowned. That's not what I mean. Does killing a Duryam for a noble goal make it any less dead? Do you think it matters to these dead Duryams whether you killed them in a frenzy of rage or with calm, cool Jedi detachment? It matters to me, Jacen said solidly. I see. You can do whatever you want, so long as you maintain your Jedi calm? So long as you can tell yourself you're valuing life? You can kill and kill and kill and kill, so long as you don't lose your temper? She shook her head, blinking astonishment. Isn't that a little sick? None of those questions are new, Vergere. Jedi have asked themselves all of them, ever since the fall of the Empire. Longer than that, believe me. We don't have a very good answer. You'll never have an answer, Jacen Solo. She leaned toward him, her hand on his shoulder. Though her touch was warm and friendly, her eyes might have been viewports into infinite space. But you can be an answer. He frowned. That doesn't make any sense. She turned her palms upward in a gesture of helpless surrender. What does?